Her skin holds secrets to her mystery, shades of honey-coated truths. She feeds her skin a playful diet of water and fruit. The coconut oil on her shoulders and arms are true, unmasked, melanated, here and aware, there and invisible. Retraction from fear, being valuable is more than illusion. Delicate valleys of lovely depths, her mind. Shoulders that show strength, bearing the weight of the universe, not just the world. Femininity that can feed a nation and starve her soul if not touched by a loved stare. Skin that salutes the sensitivity of the cold and slumbers in the warmth of the sun. The waist, the equator of hope and love. Wasting no time while waiting on arms to behold her rises and falls. Finding the thighs seems to be a seductive glide. Pangea is alive. The shifting of curves over the pendulum of time, laying beside the continent of this poetic rhyme. A subliminal reaction to the translucent creation. The body is more than clear, see-through with portrait views, glass roses, and porcelain waves. In relation to the touch that is forbidden, fingertips seen, never hidden. May I meet you in your garden of forever and pick fruit from the tree of honesty. Souls mated purposely, seen uniquely by the universe. This is us plus. I carefully drink poetry from your lips and I find peace in your eyes. Let me dance amongst the roses, protected by their thorns. When he touches me, it's like blind to braille. I religiously worship the connection like church on Sunday. Slowly, easily, seductively, wanting, honestly, fully, absolutely, the only, exclusively, every day, with no borders, never ending, forever. This is a part of those first harvests that feeds, and we share them with you now. Thank you. Thank you guys for being with us here, looking at movement, feeling movement. I feel like this space that we're actually in with this art is a room that moves. It has a has its own choreography. It even beckons you when you walk in. Which way do you go? Which step do you take first? Which one will you move to first? And it kind of gives you your own rhythm through the room. So maybe it's a song that's here as well. The best part about vision and verse is that you now can ask us questions, and that starts a convo, right? But you can ask us questions of motivation and movement and those types of things. I have a question for you first, though, and you can blurt it out whenever. What brought you into this space tonight? That was interesting. So that poem, a good portion of it was absolutely inspired by that pose, but the goddess pose, but also about the space. But the poem was bits and pieces of things over the last couple of months. If you're a writer or a poet, I always tell, do not throw anything away that you are not feeling right now. Like, it never hits the trash. I always save it. So if you wrote something and it's like, oh, that looks hideous, well, maybe you may not be ready right now. But when I circled back to a lot of those bits and pieces, they start to make like this really beautiful quilt of thought. And when Adara said, hey, we got something going, I was like, well, I know a dancer. It would have to be a specific type of dancer in this particular case, because it'd have to be someone who embodies the movement and be able to kind of feel the words. So purposefully, she probably doesn't realize it, but purposefully, when I sent her the poem, I sent it to her without me recording it first. I wanted her to read it first and kind of like, okay, I see where she's kind of going. She chose the mantra music, which was perfect. And then, how did your body speak through the poem?
So I prepared for this piece not by practicing physically. I practiced more so mentally. I read the poem and I connected the poem to how it relates to me. So that way, when I did my movements, it would come from within. So practicing, I did a lot of meditating for it. Definitely, like some of the things that she was saying, like drinking water. I drank more water so I could become the queen that she spoke of in the poem. So a lot of it came from me becoming the character, becoming the person, the main character. So yeah, that's where my inspiration for the movement came from.
Does that answer?
Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay.
Anyone else? This is a great space to be in. Hey, Kimmy. This is a great space to be in with movement. Because I know when I first walked in, the first time I came in, the dresses and bodies kind of felt like there were people here in a weird way, like, you know, that there's some presence here. And like their role right now, the dresses and the mannequins, their roles seem to be one of watching or even perhaps guarding what would take place, kind of felt like in a weird way. And so like a lot of my thinking was, would I be paying the right homage to the space? Would this fit this particular space? I think it did. But would it fit it in a way where it added an energy as we left? What are we leaving behind for other dance ghosts to fill it.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. It felt very spiritual and tribal and ancestral. I literally, the hairs on my arm were standing because I felt like a presence of our ancestors here through the movement and through the poem. So you definitely embody the movement and the words together. I like the way you use the word, quilted the words together. Because as a songwriter, I do the same thing. If it's something, I'll come back around to it.
You always circle back.
There's always a moment in time where those words will be valid.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was amazing. I felt that goddess energy, all of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's something, when you, and that's a heavy responsibility, to wear that royalty vibe, or that it's a heavy responsibility, and it requires grace. It doesn't have room for ego. It only has room for vulnerability and openness. And so I felt like she was the perfect vessel to, talk through her body, which I believe that they're languages. There are dance phrases that come, and when you pair them with a poem, you almost have a full story of someone. So I imagine that this person that we were writing about, she was finding herself. She was finding herself in a mirrored way, but also by the end of the piece, she not only found herself, but she was extremely proud of what she had become and was becoming. Yes. Yep. I didn't mean for that to sound all poetic, sorry. That's how it comes out. It just comes out like that. It spills out that way. Any other questions? Feel free. This is a great vulnerable moment when you're sharing your process with people. You're allowing people to step into your space, and that's very vulnerable at times when you're opening up. Yes.
I actually created these as I actually created my costume, my outfit. So I took fabric material from this, connected it with this. So I'm like, I can use this. So definitely a creative process to accentuate my creativity within that. I'm more than a dancer, an improv, a movement. I have an abundance of different ways that I express myself creatively. So this is one of the ways, and I added it to my movement and flow.
Can you tell that she does yoga? Pretty solid on that part, which is another reason why I chose, because that particular pose, it is not an easy one. Like, it looks really easy, but it's not. It's the toe part for me that's gonna always not be like that. Never. So I'm gonna ask you, when you're doing that pose, what are you feeling?
So the toes really aren't the biggest challenge in the pose. It's more so the core and the glutes and the hamstrings. Those muscles that are more what you're using more than the toes. The toes can just be in. So they're pretty, the pose and holding it is the powerful piece in that actual pose.
Does it make you stand up straight?
Yes. Your center, your core. So holding that core and holding that stance more than the toes.
I think also too, when you're doing those, when you're doing these types of royal poses, I believe that they make you pull your carriage up.
Yes.
Same way that when I wear a head wrap up high, or a snug one like this one, that it makes me stand a little bit taller, a little bit, not that I have to support it, but like it gives this sense of presence. That can be metaphoric as well, but in most cases it has a lot to do with like that core of that carriage being pulled so forward and up. And sometimes it's for the better. Most times it's for the better. Most times. You want to talk a little bit about your style of dance?
So I've always been a movement and flow. I am coming into where I fit in the dance and movement world, because I wasn't professionally trained, but dance and movement has always been a natural flow of mine that I've had. And just recently I've started realizing what kind of dance I like to do. And I personally love to just be free. I love to feel the music. I love to move what I feel. And at one point in time, I didn't know the name for that type of dance because I tried choreography, and that made it difficult for me because I felt like I had to think about what I was doing versus just having fun and letting myself flow. So just recently, I found a way to explain what type of dance I do, and it's improvisational movement and flow, that I'm expressing myself through whatever the song makes me feel at that moment, at that very moment, whatever a mantra is making me feel, how it pulls, how the tunes and the beats pulls my body, the directions, and just letting myself go and not thinking about what I'm doing next, and when I record myself or see myself, I'm like, oh, wow, that's what I was feeling at that time. So it amazes me what comes out of me when I just let myself go and flow. So improvisational movement and flow is my style of dance.
Anything else? Anyone else want to ask us some questions? I appreciate each of you being here to witness the colliding of two genres. I think they go well together, always felt like they have. I used to be a little bit nervous about doing poetry with music because I'm not a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So not that. And so, I always try to work really hard to not come off, as a, rap. I mean, I got bars, but I don't want to that's not what I want to do. I'd rather just flow, let it flow, in that way. And so the choosing of this particular music, that mantra that you chose, was perfect. And we've had it for a month. And so I've become really intimate with it. I've listened to it. I slept with it last night. And it has moments in it, I think, that give the listener opportunity to meditate on their own, gives them opportunity to sit and be still. A lot of people are afraid of that stillness because they feel like, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm not productive. Oh, I gotta be doing something. But when you're being still, you actually are being fairly productive because you're fixing yourself. And let's be honest, if you don't take the time to be still, life will make you be still quickly. And so, it will sit you down. So being able to use this particular mantra was really perfect for today and tonight. Thank you guys, as always. I absolutely appreciate any time that I get to put words with an artist or words with art. They hold energy and they fill a space really well.